Greetings, beloved brothers and sisters. Welcome back to our channel, where today we dive into a prophecy that is both deeply intriguing and unsettling in its implications, St. Malachy's prophecy. As we reflect on the events unfolding in the Catholic Church, it's crucial to consider the weight of these ancient predictions and their relevance in our time. Pope Francis has been a central figure in this prophetic framework, and the startling connection between his papacy and St. Malachy's visions is raising more questions than ever. The question we're tackling today is the prophecy of St. Malachy really unfolding right before our eyes? This is not just another vague prediction. Many believe we are witnessing its fulfillment now, especially as Pope Francis, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the current pope, finds himself at the center of these ancient prophecies. For those unfamiliar, this is no ordinary prophecy. This is a detailed foretelling of popes and events tied to the destiny of the Church, beginning in the 12th century. The prophecy itself is both fascinating and mysterious. According to the prophecy of the popes, a series of 112 Latin phrases were written by St. Malachy, an archbishop from Ireland. These phrases supposedly predict the identity of each pope from Malachy's time all the way until the end of days. The final pope, known as Peter the Roman, would lead the Church through intense suffering and persecution before the ultimate destruction of the city of Seven Hills, Rome itself, followed by divine judgment. What makes this prophecy especially compelling is that it appears to align with Pope Francis's papacy, which some prophetic experts believe might mark the beginning of this final chapter. The prophecy's origins. To understand why this prophecy is stirring so much attention today, we must first delve into its origins. In the 12th century, St. Malachy allegedly had a vision during his visit to Rome in which he saw a series of 112 papacies, each identified with a short, cryptic description. These visions were recorded in a manuscript that remained hidden for centuries until Arnold Wyon, a 16th century monk, unearthed it just before a papal conclave. The predictions were fascinating, detailed and precise in some ways, yet cryptic enough to leave much to interpretation. One of the most compelling aspects of this prophecy is its prediction about Pope Francis. According to Malachy's prophecy, the last pope would be Peter the Roman, a reference that many now believe. Points to Francis, given his Italian heritage and the fact that his birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, contains the name Peter, Pietro in Italian. His Italian roots tie him to Rome, fueling the argument that he fulfills the description of Peter the Roman, the final pope who would guide the faithful through a period of great tribulation. The prophecy of the final pope, St. Malachy's prophecy, suggests that Pope Francis is indeed the final pope in this celestial sequence, and his reign will mark a time of profound trials for the Church. The prophecy warns that during this time, the Holy Roman Church will face intense persecution. As Peter the Roman, Francis's role would be to shepherd his flock through dark days, days of spiritual warfare, moral crisis, and even potential physical attacks on the Church. Many have interpreted this ominous prediction as a foreshadowing of a final confrontation between good and evil, with the Church at the center of a cosmic battle. The destruction of the city of Seven Hills, Rome, suggests that the trials the Church will face under the last pope could include not only spiritual corruption, but also literal turmoil, leading to a destruction of the old order and a profound spiritual reckoning. But why, you may ask, is Pope Francis's reign nearing its end as the prophecy hints? This is where the story gets even more concerning. The crisis of faith in recent years, many prophetic voices have raised alarms about the state of the Church under Pope Francis. Critics argue that under his leadership, the Church has been infiltrated by secular ideologies, and heresy has found a foothold within its walls. These concerns seem to echo the prophecy's warning about a final pope who will face unprecedented challenges in a time when the faith is under direct attack. Some prophetic experts have noted that the events surrounding Pope Francis's papacy have lined up eerily with Malachy's words. They speak of growing apostasy within the Church and a global persecution of the faithful, a period where the true followers of Christ will have to face severe trials. Could this be the era foretold by St. Malachy? Is the final chapter of the Church's history beginning to unfold in the 21st century? Prophecy and fulfillment, what's next? The fact that Pope Francis may be the final pope in this prophetic cycle raises critical questions for the Church and the world. If the destruction of Rome is indeed near, how should the faithful prepare? The prophecy of St. Malachy challenges us to reflect on our role in these turbulent times. Should we remain complacent, Or are we called to a renewed sense of vigilance, faith, and spiritual preparedness? Pope Francis's reign has already seen immense shifts in the Church's teachings and practices, and the current state of the world only seems to intensify the sense that dark days are approaching. However, despite the grim nature of the prophecy, there is still room for hope and redemption. For as Jesus Christ promised, the gates of hell will never prevail against his Church. Even in the darkest times, the light of faith will endure. The call to action as we continue to watch these events unfold: it is vital to remain steadfast in our faith, to pray fervently, and to strengthen our spiritual lives. Pope Francis's papacy is not merely a moment in history, but a spiritual turning point that calls each of us to deepen our relationship with God and stay alert to the signs of the times. As we face these trials, let us take solace in the fact that God's plan is never out of reach. Our faithful prayers, our devotion to the Rosary, and our trust in God's will can carry us through even the darkest of days. St. Malachy's prophecy, while foretelling hardships, also invites us to prepare our hearts and align our actions with God's divine purpose. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. What are your thoughts on this profound topic? Do you believe the prophecy of St. Malachy is unfolding before our eyes? Leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more prophetic insights. Stay tuned for more updates, and click the bell icon to receive notifications on our latest content. May God bless you and keep you safe in his love. Pope Francis, elected as the first Jesuit Pope on March 13, 2013, undoubtedly made history, marking a significant turning point for the Roman Catholic Church. His papacy has been a mixture of profound change and unprecedented challenges. While many applaud his efforts to modernize the Church, his tenure has also been marred by controversies that continue to divide Catholics and raise questions about the future direction of the faith. The most pressing issue that has surrounded Pope Francis is the Church's handling of clergy sexual abuse scandals. These have cast a long shadow over his papacy. In 2018, the release of a damning report from Pennsylvania revealed the widespread nature of abuse within the Church and the systematic cover-ups by senior clergy. Pope Francis has faced immense pressure to address these issues, and though he has made public apologies and sought to implement reforms, many critics argue that the Church's response has not gone far enough. This failure to act decisively has fueled ongoing dissatisfaction among both clergy and the faithful. But the controversy does not stop there. Pope Francis has also sparked significant debate within the Church over his progressive views, particularly concerning issues like marriage, divorce, and communion. His apostolic exhortation, Amoris Laetitia, published in 2016, was a turning point, as it called for a more compassionate approach toward divorced and remarried Catholics, specifically allowing them to receive communion. This stance has been contentious, with some clerics accusing him of undermining the Church's traditional teachings on marriage and sacraments. In fact, in 2017, 45 priests and scholars sent a lengthy 25-page letter to the Pope, accusing him of promoting heretical ideas and distorting Church doctrine. The letter highlighted a growing divide within the Church, with some questioning whether the Pope was prioritizing personal beliefs over traditional Catholic values. Pope Francis's relationship with the hierarchy of the Church has also been strained by another high-profile scandal involving Archbishop Theodore McCarrick. In 2018, Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, the former apostolic nuncio to the United States, released an explosive 11-page letter accusing Pope Francis of failing to take action against McCarrick despite being aware of allegations of sexual misconduct. Vigano called for the Pope's resignation, a move that shocked the Catholic world and deepened the rift between the Pope and his critics. This letter is part of a wider climate of dissent within the Church, with numerous bishops, cardinals, and priests openly questioning Francis's leadership and calling for reforms in how the Church handles abuse and accountability. However, amid these controversies, Pope Francis has also garnered widespread admiration, particularly for his efforts to promote social justice, interfaith dialogue, and environmental protection. His advocacy for the poor and marginalized, along with his push to combat climate change, has won him many supporters, including non-Catholics. In fact, a 2014 Global Values survey revealed that many view Pope Francis as a unifying figure, bringing people together across religious and political divides. Despite this, the Pope remains deeply polarizing. His attempts to modernize the Church and address pressing global issues have met with stiff resistance from more conservative factions within the Church, such as those aligned with organizations like Church Militant and Defied TV. These groups, often outspoken in their criticism, view Pope Francis as a threat to the Church's traditional teachings and practices. The split within the Church became even more apparent in the aftermath of the Chilean sex abuse crisis in 2018, which led to the resignation of several bishops. These events only compounded the sense of crisis within the Vatican, with some seeing them as proof of the papacy's failure to address systemic corruption and abuse. The debates surrounding Pope Francis are not just theological or doctrinal, they are deeply personal for many Catholics. His critics accuse him of undermining the faith's core teachings, while his supporters see him as a courageous reformer, striving to make the Church more inclusive and responsive to the needs of the modern world. What is clear is that Pope Francis has reshaped the papacy in ways that few could have predicted. Whether his legacy will be remembered as one of reform and progress, or as a time of division and scandal, remains to be seen. In the end, the future of the Catholic Church under Pope Francis's leadership is uncertain. His papacy has ignited fierce debates about the direction of the Church, and his controversial decisions will likely echo through history. But one thing is clear: Pope Francis has undeniably left his mark on the Church, and the discussions about his papacy will continue for years to come. The prophecy of Saint Malachy has captured the imaginations of many, stirring profound questions about the future of the Catholic Church and the end of time. This prophecy, which outlines cryptic descriptions of popes through the centuries, is surprisingly accurate when compared to the lives and characteristics of many of the popes leading up to Pope Francis. It has sparked discussions and debates, particularly when considering whether the current pope could be the one foretold as the last pope in Saint Malachy's vision. The prophecy's intriguing accuracy has led many to take it seriously, and some historical events add weight to its relevance. In fact, Cardinal Spellman of New York was so convinced of its importance that in 1958, just before the conclave that would elect Pope John XXII, he famously rented a boat and sailed the Tiber River with lambs on board, symbolizing the shepherd and guide aspects of the prophecy. This gesture further affirmed the belief that the descriptions were not mere coincidence. One of the most debated aspects of Saint Malachy's prophecy is its reference to Gloria Olivi, or the glory of the olive tree, associated with Pope Benedict, the 100th Pope. Some skeptics argue that this interpretation undermines the prophecy's validity. However, Saint Malachy's predictions contain enough details that seem to match historical facts. For instance, Pope Urban VII, whose motto was Ex Antiquitate Urbis, from the ancient times of the city, was indeed from Florence, a city whose coat of arms prominently features a fleur-de-lis, a symbol resembling a lily, as foretold in the prophecy. Another fascinating example is Pope John Paul I, whose papacy lasted only 33 days, but was connected to the prophecy's description of De Mediatate Luni, from the half moon. Pope John Paul I was born during a solar eclipse, aligning perfectly with the description. But it's the final pope predicted, Peter the Roman, that has captured the most attention in recent years. Many have speculated that this could refer to Pope Francis, raising significant discussions, especially within the Catholic community. Some believe he is the Pope who will preside over the final days of the Church, as predicted by Saint Malachy. This notion has led to intense debate, with both supporters and critics engaging in heated conversations about the implications of this prophecy. Despite the controversy surrounding the prophecy's authenticity and its interpretations, one cannot deny the curiosity and intrigue it continues to generate. Pope Francis, with his progressive approach to many issues facing the Church, is at the center of much of the current discourse about the future of Catholicism. As such, the question arises, is the Church on the brink of a profound transformation, as foretold by Saint Malachy? Whether or not the prophecy is being fulfilled, its relevance to the state of the Church and the broader world today is undeniable. The challenges and opportunities ahead are profound, and these ancient predictions serve as a reminder to remain vigilant in faith and mindful of the changes that could shape the future. As we reflect on these mysteries, we are reminded that while there is still much skepticism surrounding the authenticity of these predictions, the intrigue and awe they inspire cannot be ignored. With much at stake, the unfolding events could very well align with Saint Malachy's vision, leaving us all wondering what the future holds. What are your thoughts on this topic? Could Pope Francis truly be the final pope? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into this fascinating prophecy. May God bless you and guide you on your spiritual journey.